Welcome back to the Dichotomy Diaries. I've missed you guys. It seems like it's been forever. I guess it has been a while, hasn't it? Well, your wait is over, and I promise it's worth it. I'm excited to remind you that we'll be releasing new episodes every other Tuesday for the rest of Season 1. We have a few more X's to discuss, and trust me, the stories just get juicier and juicier. Oh, and by the way, in case you haven't heard, I started video recording the podcast, so you can catch full episodes on YouTube of me and the X's, some special guests, along with some short clips and some bonus content. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you head over and do so that you are one of the first to know as new episodes drop. Now, to dive in. Today, we're on episode 27, hilariously titled, All Bark, No Bite. And you'll soon find out why. Our guest today is Kylie, X number 3. So grab your tea, your wine, your popcorn, take your bra off, whatever it is that you do to prepare, because things are about to heat up. I'm your host, Amanda Arnier, and this is the Dichotomy Diaries. Let's dive in. Welcome back, everyone. Look who I have with us today. This is Kylie. Kylie, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
So Kylie is the third X to share, and we're super excited to be doing this and like to have her here. And she has to work tomorrow, but she's staying up late with me and all y'all. So this is exciting. So before we get into like who you are and the whole story and everything, um I would just like to ask the question, like, what was your initial reaction when I reached out to you?
Honestly, at first I was nervous because I didn't know what to expect. And I was skeptical about even responding to you until I actually took the time to watch your podcast myself.
Okay.
And
Do you know, so
Mhm.
how I'm trying to think. I guess yeah, you didn't respond back right away. So how many episodes were out when you had like realized there was a podcast, and how many did you watch before you decided to reply?
Ooh, I think I was like almost to the time when you were with your friend and y'all were talking about getting stuck in the mud
Oh,
and he wasn't pushing.
in Alabama. Yeah. What a fun time. Um
And I think after that, that like did it for me. After that, I was like, okay.
so did you have a similar experience, or were you like, "Oh shit, like she went through the same shit I did?" Like what was going through your mind?
Honestly, what was going through my mind was after listening to you speak, I could literally feel everything you were going through and every bit of pain you were going through. And kind of going off of that, that just made me feel like I need to speak to her,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, I totally get that, and it's honestly all of the other girls have basically like the same kind of story, which I think is part of the reason that I started the podcast. Like, not specifically for you guys, like my husband's exes, like, but for
Mhm.
everybody that listens, I want them to be like, oh, I'm not alone, and because I felt
Right.
super, super alone. And it's so crazy. So, what is today? Today's the 15th of May. He like dipped out
Mhm.
the last time. It was like right around, it was like this weekend. This weekend is EDC in Las Vegas, and he abandoned me for the last time, EDC weekend, to go and, run around with that OnlyFans girl. So,
Mhm.
it's crazy. It's been a year. I feel like so much has happened in the year, And I
Yeah.
love that, and I think that the best part of all of it, one, of course, is, like, me being healed and not wanting to jump off my roof, but 2, like, getting to know
Mhm.
all of you guys has been fantastic, and I just see, like, there's so many similarities across all of us that it doesn't make it
Mhm.
a coincidence for me anymore. Like,
Mhm.
like, part of me wanted to be like, I don't think he does it intentionally. Maybe he's just an idiot and like, but that leaves out accountability. But now I know for
Yeah.
certain after talking to everybody that like this is strategic.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look at all of us. You
It's
know what I mean? Like, it's just,
right.
it's crazy.
Right.
So I'm glad that you responded and I'm glad that you were open to talk and share. I think it's,
Mhm.
some people are like, I don't want to put my life on the internet, like, whatever. But, just know that you're helping people. And if, people send messages about this episode, they related to something that you share, I will
Yeah.
definitely share that with you. So,
Yeah. Well, I have nothing to lose,
yeah.
so I'm free to share whatever.
Awesome. All right. So, why don't you just start with like telling everybody a little bit about you, talk about how old you are, where you grew up, what you do for work, just kind of
Yeah.
like a bio.
Okay. So I am Kylie Brocato. I'm 35 years old. I am a single mother of two children. I have a son named Skylar. He is 15. I have a daughter named Riley, and she's 9. And I'm a single mom. And I work my butt off for everything I have. Um, I am Italian like you, Amanda.
I could tell with that last name for sure.
Yeah, yeah. My last name is very well known where I live. Angela Brocato's is very well known in New Orleans.
And what kind of business is that?
It is Italian pastries, spumoni, cannolis, everything along those lines. It's been open since 1905.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't know how you stay skinny, because I would be eating everything up.
I work hard.
Yeah,
Kind
I'm
of.
a pastry fanatic. We don't have that many like really good Italian bakeries here. When I go to the East Coast, I just like max out and then I come back and I'm like, I shouldn't have. So you
Hmm.
have 2
I'm
children
probably,
and
yes.
so they know that you're doing this.
Yes, they both know and they both support it. They support everything I do. I'm very close with my children. I they're my best friends. They're my everything. They're my why,
Yeah,
basically.
I love that.
I yeah, they are. They both are. But I work in the medical field. Um I like to take care of myself. I guess to take care of myself to clear my mind, I like to work out. Um, I feel like if I don't, then I'm just gonna blow up.
Do you do like bodybuilding, or I saw that some of the pictures that you had sent me looked like they were like past photo shoots.
Yes.
Okay.
So probably I'm trying to think. Riley's 9. So probably about 5 years ago, I used to compete and I used to do swimsuit modeling. But now I only work out to maintain. I don't work out for any other reason. I only work out just to keep up with everything I'm eating and doing.
Yeah, for sure. And I bet running
Mhm.
around and with the kids and stuff too, you're kind of,
That's probably my workout, running around with
yeah,
them.
I was gonna say. Um, and you have a new puppy.
Oh gosh, he's outside the door right now. Like I had to bribe him with a million treats. He is my I'm single, so this is my man. This is
Yeah.
who I answer to, and this is who literally is constantly yapping at me. So I'm constantly coming home early. I don't go anywhere. I don't go out or anything because I feel like my dog's gonna be mad at me if I do
I
anything.
feel that so much. I also feel like boy dogs are just like so much more in tune with female owners. Like my boy dog,
Mhm.
I swear to God, he's like my soulmate, like just in a dog form. I'm like, how do you know me so well? Doesn't even talk. Like, so I love that for you. And
That's exactly how he is.
yeah.
He's a French bulldog. His name is
Oh,
Rocky, and he literally is attached to me. He's like such a cuddler, but I'm trying to get used to him
Yeah.
too. So he snores so
Yeah, they
loud.
do. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh. He is such a
And he
snorer.
sleeps in
Like,
your
and
bed?
sometimes I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to break him out of this habit. Lately, I've been putting him outside of my room because I cannot sleep.
Yeah.
I can't sleep with the snoring. Like, it's that loud.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, come on. And he's so tiny. So he's only 5.5 months
Yeah.
old. And I'm like, how can a dog so little, like, make me not sleep?
Their faces are smushed. That's the sole answer. I used to have a pug, and she just would snore up and down, but yeah, French bulldogs are super cute, and so
They're super
I'm a
cute.
big dog girl, but I do love Frenchies. They have, like, the most energy, and it's insane. I just
Personality is out of
Yeah,
this world.
yeah. Um,
The crying and the yap, the talking. That's a new thing. The talking.
oh my god, I saw
The
a
talking he
video. Did
does.
you see a video where, like, the Frenchie, like, sounds like an old man, like, screaming, dying, like, on TikTok?
Yeah, and they got put
Uh,
out of their
yeah.
apartment because
I'm like, "Oh my god."
okay, so we're on our way to that, the screeching.
Really?
But every time I go to record, I only have one video of him doing it. Every time I go to record him, he stops. And I'm like, you would.
Oh my gosh, he knows you're onto him. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I know the importance of having an animal, dog, especially a boy dog when you're single, because like, it's lonely out there and,
It is.
they're just love bugs. So I'm glad that you
They
have
are.
Rocky. Is that like Rocky Balboa after Rocky? Okay,
Exactly.
okay, good. Good, good,
He's
good.
my little
Keeping
fighter.
it in the Italian
I feel like
circle.
he knows I'm talking about him. I hear him outside the door
Like,
right now.
"Mom, don't talk about me on a podcast."
He's gonna be like, okay, I'm about to do the most on the outside. Please don't.
Okay, so I guess to a little bit more on just like you. So, does your f- does your family know that you're doing this? So you said that your kids do. How about
No.
extended family?
No, everybody has been asking me, and I've been so busy. Like everybody that saw it on social media has been asking me, and I haven't really had the time to sit down and tell them, well, this guy from about forever ago, about 7, 8 years ago, X, Y, and Z. I haven't really told anybody. So I guess that they're going to see it after we record this.
I feel like maybe that's a good thing, because then they'll get all of the answers all at once. I know with some of the other girls,
Right.
their families had a little bit. They had a part, like, the family was involved in some sort of way, so, as we go through, your story with Dick, if you wanna bring up, like, how your family felt about him or anything initially, definitely do that because I think it's really good insight for the other girls as well as the listeners, so I think that's a good segue. We should talk about our shared, ex. So how did you meet, that person?
So I met him. We had a mutual friend. And I guess in a way through social media, he kind of crept his way through messaging me. And it started with our mutual friend. And then it crept its way through messaging.
And so what social media platform did he use? Is it Facebook, Instagram?
Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like he does a lot of, like, his recon work on Facebook, and then he, like, strikes on Instagram. So the fact like, the people that are, like, suggested friends on the bottom? I feel
Right.
like a lot of people have been those, and then all of a sudden, they're on this podcast, so
Well, our mutual
Mhm.
friend had a bunch of pictures with him and
Mm,
stuff. And I asked about him. And of course, everything was great
right.
when I asked.
Don't you love those friends, the ones that literally have known him a long time, but they choose
Hmm.
to only see the good? Like, I mean, I guess maybe they don't experience the bad stuff, but, like
Well, I think this friend knew the bad stuff, just didn't want to tell
yeah.
me because they were kind of like covering for their friend. But then once I found out the bad stuff, they were like, well, I was in the middle. I didn't want to get involved. And I'm like, well,
It's like I think okay, so there's, like, a term for these people, they call them in, like, the narcissistic like, the mental health world, they call them flying monkeys. And they're, like, the people who are just kind of always around and are always supporting despite everything that they know. So I find that interesting. I mean, that definitely didn't happen to me, but, like, there have been people where I'm like, "You're still talking to him? That's really fucking insane." But, like, so
Yeah,
be it. Like, then I just keep my distance away
right.
from those people. So, what did you let's, like, go back to that moment. What did you think of him? Like, looks-wise, what attracted you to him?
What attracted me to him? Definitely the looks. How nice he was to me, how much he complimented me. Um, at the time, before I really knew him, I thought he was a great father, and that attracted me to him.
Okay. So I'm trying to think back. So this is for the listeners, let's say 2016 or the end of 2015, maybe?
Mhm.
Okay.
To 2016, end of 2015.
Okay. So at this time, his daughter is a one, almost going to be two.
Right. So I saw some pictures on Facebook, but I didn't know that the pictures were from a while
Yeah.
ago. I thought it was all recent.
I think it's set up that way. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you've been friends with him on Facebook consistently throughout. And I mean, do you remember like that she was pinned at the top of his profile for the whole entire time we were together?
Well, when we started talking, Facebook did not have that.
Okay,
Didn't
yeah.
have that option, so you couldn't move pictures to the top or anything like that. So I just saw what he would post.
Yeah. I I feel like he uses her as bait and it disgusts me. Just because like
Yeah.
I know her mother and I know how wonderful of a child she is and it just is so
Hmm.
disgusting. And as a mother, right, you're
Yeah.
like, how could you do that? Um,
Right.
so how did it come to be that you guys like started talking? So he messaged you and then what happened from there?
So he started messaging me, and it was a really vulnerable time. And me living at the bottom of United States
Mhm.
and him living way up there, I felt like, okay, this guy's giving me attention, he's a great looking guy, so I'm gonna go for it. So that's kind of how it went.
So
It was a vulnerable time in my
can
life.
I ask why it was a vulnerable time, and also if you
Yeah,
don't feel like sharing, that's totally fine. And also, was he aware that it was a vulnerable time, and if so, how
yeah.
early on?
Okay, so my daughter probably was close to a year old at the time, and me and her dad were still kind of going back and forth, but I was inching myself away because I knew that it wasn't going to go any further. And we were engaged, like we had a daughter together. It was pretty deep.
Okay.
And I had this good looking guy throwing himself at me. And
I mean, it's a really good like diversion, I would say,
mhm,
you know.
mhm.
What do they say? Get over somebody, you have to get under someone else. I don't subscribe to that notion, but I feel like I understand that. So,
Right, right.
okay. And when you like were vulnerable and shared about this situation that you were in, like how did he like respond to that?
I feel like he took it full force and went right for
Okay,
it
yeah.
because he knew like I was going through a lot. Like I was completely honest with him, everything I was going through. I let him know just what I went through with my daughter's dad and how it's still fresh, and it's just we have a little one together, and I'm trying to be strong for my daughter at the same time,
Yeah.
but that's just kind of how it was.
So what was I mean, if I don't know, I'm not going to say that I know this, but I feel like I do. What was like the fairy tale? Like what was the goal that he kind of laid out in front of you for you and him and like was there future like planning very initially?
Yes. He would talk to me about giving me a ring, moving to New Orleans. So that was stuff that we did talk about.
How early on was the ring conversation?
Probably about 2.5 months in.
Okay. He was gonna move to New Orleans, he said. This
Yes.
man is out of his fucking mind, I'm telling you, dude. If you knew, like, the shit that he says about the South, I'm like, ugh.
Uh, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's wild. And now he lives in Denver, the place he hates the most. Well, back and forth, but okay. So you fell for him. He's handsome and like
Hmm.
you're basically like this is going to help me like move on in a healthy way. He's
Right.
being supportive. Was he outwardly Mormon at the time? Did you know that about him?
Did not did not know any of that. I thought his family lived in Vegas. I did not know the extent of everything until deeper on.
Okay. Did he tell you about his criminal history record?
So, I did not know about that until my first time going to Vegas to see
Okay.
him. And we took a trip to his parole officer. We went to go see him.
What a really good first trip for you.
Yeah. So I kind of did not know what I was getting myself into, and I was already in Las Vegas, and he had an appointment. And next thing you knew, I flew out there, and we were Ubering to the courthouse. And I was like, "Why are we Ubering?" And it's because he didn't have a vehicle, so we had an Uber.
That's wild. Where did he live at the time?
He lived on the outskirts of Las Vegas. I think it was
Okay.
Summerlin.
Did
Summerlin.
he have his own
Mhm.
apartment or did he live with somebody?
He had his own apartment.
Okay. Was he on house arrest?
No,
Okay.
not at the time, but he was on, what is that called again?
Just like probation or
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
probation. Okay.
yes,
All
yes.
right. So you went to go see his parole officer and now
Hmm.
you're in his zone, okay? So
Hmm.
what did that trip look like, I guess? Was it just like kind of him showing you around?
Well, I've never known anybody to be on parole. So I remember waiting outside of the place, and he didn't have cell phone service inside of the place, or he couldn't have his phone on. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I kind of was like lost, like waiting outside of the place, like, what am I supposed to do?
Mhm.
And I didn't know exactly everything until that appointment was over with, and it was a couple hours.
Okay, so you get there. Is it the first place that you
Mhm.
guys go to? Or I mean like okay,
No,
but so you go to
no.
this place and then he's in there and you're like, I don't even know what's going on. And you come out. And so what do you ask him? Do you say like why are we here?
Yeah, and he said we would talk about it later.
Oh wow. Okay. So how much later did you guys end up having that very serious conversation?
Until we got home. It was later on that night. And he told me someone that he was with accused him of basically assault.
Okay. He did he go into detail?
He did not.
When did you find out the truth?
Later on, after being with him, a lot of people that was with him started to reach out to me as like warnings.
Okay. And how
Hmm.
did that like was it shocking? How did it make you feel? Cuz I mean, so if I guess I'm like really, really, really interested in this whole thing right now. So this is it's just so everyone knows, I have not heard Kylie's story like at all yet. So this is real reaction. Um Dick has a felony for strangulation. It was a violent felony and
Right.
he was in jail for I think like 90 days. Got out.
Yeah.
He was on house arrest for I don't know how long and then supervision, parole, whatever the hell they call it.
Right.
but a violent felony for strangling, attempting to strangle his ex, Joanna,
Yeah.
who shared prior. So if you haven't heard that, go back and listen to hers, and then come back and pick up here
Mhm.
because we're in chronological. So, okay,
Right.
how did have you heard the episode, Joanna's episode? Okay.
Hmm.
How
He
he
put his arm around her neck
yeah, like the
mhm,
right here, and
and asking her to tap out. That sounds
totally.
about
Like,
right.
I didn't know any of this, but
Mhm.
I will say that he was very, like, forthcoming and, like, dare I say, excited to tell me about it, almost in a way where it was like, "Yeah, I have a criminal record." "Oh, shit, really? Tell me about that." Yeah, I mean, I have a violent felony for strangulation." And I'm like,
No, he didn't tell me any of that. I found out about it when he said that he had an appointment.
"Okay."
Yeah, that was all news to my ears.
Did it surprise you that the person that you had been with for a little while could do something like that?
Yes, it did.
Had he ever been
I
violent with
didn't.
you or
No, no. He definitely had his way with words and he could get
Mhm.
nasty with his words and but never physical with me.
Okay. So, in total, how long would you say that you guys dated?
Probably 6.5, 7 months.
Okay. And when along that timeline is this first Las Vegas trip?
Um, it had to be at least 3 weeks in. 3 weeks in. Hmm.
Okay. Um, there's a question from the chat. Do you want to answer questions from the chat if they're okay?
Sure. Sure.
So, the question is, what kind of things would he say to you?
In what
So, you
way?
said he had a way with words and like could be nasty. Like I guess elaborate on that.
He's very verbally abusive. He would tell me, okay, so I was a single mom. He would tell me at the time I was in school still and I was a cocktail waitress at a strip club. And he would always throw in my face, you're just a stripper, you're a whore, you're all of these things. And basically, it would be along those lines. He would tell me I was fat. He would tell me I was fat, and I was not fat at all.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What would prompt these outbursts from him? Like, why would he start being mean to you?
Um, I feel like when he wanted to do what he wanted to do, um, it would be a lot of different times when he would block me on social media or block my phone number. He would nitpick with me.
Yeah. And was this like texting verbal abuse or I guess because
Yes.
you guys are long
There
distance,
was a
right?
time
So
Yeah, there was a time, I'll never forget it. He actually sent me flowers, and I could not thank him for the flowers because he had my phone number blocked.
it's insanity, but it's a
And I didn't even know that Amazon delivered flowers either until then.
he does for certain. He ordered like 12 dozen during our divorce for his Denver girlfriend. Um Okay, so you couldn't thank him for flowers. You basically, like, would not
Mm-mm.
know, like, when he would block you. You would just find out by sending the message, and then it just didn't go through.
Yeah, and that's when I knew he was like up to no good.
Right. Okay, so it's kind of, like, tumultuous. Um,
Hmm.
Would you like, I guess what was, like, the dynamic of your arguments? So for me, for example, when I was with him, I was a very, like, non-confrontational arguer. He would go, like, balls to the wall up here, and I'd be like, "Bro, why are you swearing? I'm gonna walk away until you are gonna talk like a grown up." That's how I would do it. Were you
Right.
like that, or were you like the typical Italian, just, like, give it back?
I feel like in a way I would try to remain calm because I was all the way in New Orleans. I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything. I wasn't like in his face at the time. Like he was way up there, I was way down
Mhm.
here. So I would remain calm as much as I could.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm
Mhm.
sorry because I know exactly how that feels. I guess I I couldn't
He would make me feel crazy.
yeah. I
Oh.
mean, I couldn't imagine being in a long distance relationship with him because living with him and seeing him every day, it was fucking
Mhm.
terrible. So, I can imagine
Yeah.
that there was, like, a lot of suspicion and stuff that kind of built up,
Mhm.
um, in your mind, like, you probably were like, "He's being sneaky,"
Right.
right?
Right. Well, there was a time when he came into New Orleans and he stayed for a good 2.5 weeks. And I kind of didn't know what it was like,
Yeah.
to like have him, I guess, live with me in a
Mhm.
way until then.
Okay. So, is that, like, chronological? So you went there first, and then he came by you, and he stayed with you for, would you say 3 weeks, or
Pretty much,
and
yeah. Until I was like, okay, I think it's time for you to go home.
that's wild. So when he, like, said, "Hey, I'm gonna come see you," it wasn't, "Hey, I'm gonna come see you and stay for 3 weeks." It's, "Hey, I'm gonna come see
No.
you," and
It was literally played by ear. We went to the beach and we had a little mini vacation. And when we got back, he was supposed to go home. And he literally was staying. I was at work and he was driving my car, doing whatever he wanted, and wasn't answering my phone calls.
while he had your car.
Yes.
Okay. I totally get it. He literally took my whole life, so I fucking feel you, dude. Um, so
Yeah.
you have children at this time, okay? So let's talk about how integrated into their life, because I mean, they're your life. Now he's kind of squatting like he did and does.
Right.
What was that dynamic like for your children, and how did he treat them and all that?
So it was chaotic. It was chaotic because my daughter was still little and he was trying to overstep her father.
Mhm.
And it was creating a lot of chaos. And it got to the point where Riley's dad was like, he's got to go. He's got to go. Riley's dad had drove over to my house when I was at work one night. And okay, my daughter's dad and Dick had words.
Okay.
And it wasn't nice. And Dick literally locked himself in my house that night. And he was so big and bad when I was at work with Riley's dad until Riley's dad drove there. And then Dick didn't come outside of my house. And I didn't have any idea about it until after the fact.
So that's pretty crazy because, I mean, it's crazy, but it's not surprising that he would talk a lot of shit and then hide, because I feel like
Yeah.
when I think of Dick, I think of, like, a guy who, like, goes like this, like, and, like, blows their muscles up, but they're not real.
Let the air
You
out.
know? Yeah.
Let the
So,
air
like,
out.
all bark, no bite kind of. How
Yeah,
would
he was
he
literally telling Riley's dad, he was like, "This is my daughter." Like he was going a little too far,
Okay.
you know? He was like pressing every button he possibly could.
So, 2 questions. First one from the chat. So, I guess, was he alone, like, watching the kids while you were at work, and you felt comfortable with that,
No,
or no? Okay.
no, no. He was alone at my
Mhm.
house, but no, he wasn't
Okay.
babysitting.
Did he ever, like, offer or, like, try and get you to
Yes.
allow him to?
He
Okay.
yes, but I never let
Well,
him.
thank the Lord for that.
I know.
Um, how would he, antagonize your ex? Like, how would he communicate with him?
Tell him that this is his daughter, that he's gonna marry me, and it won't be long till he's gone. Just basically, like, just push any button he possibly
On,
could.
like, Facebook? Did he have his phone number?
Um, so at the time, this was Instagram. Dick would tag my child's father in whatever he could just to piss him off and just take it and turn it and start so much shit that he possibly could.
Oh my goodness, and this is you're
And I
at
guess he didn't
work.
realize that my child's father is actually about that life
Yeah,
and drove 45 minutes away to my house to be like, okay, you got all this to say.
right. Yeah, like
That's
yeah,
God.
so he comes over and he's like, "You don't disrespect me like that," and then Dick stays inside.
Yeah. And I'm at
You're
work.
at work.
I'm at work.
Okay, that's so wild. How long
Yeah. And that's when I came home from work and I was like, okay, Dick, you have to go back home.
yeah, I mean,
You're doing the most. Like, you need to go back home, Dick. Like, you're starting so much stuff. Me and my daughter's dad already aren't getting along, and all you're doing is creating the worst. Like, I remember he literally like sent my daughter's dad a picture of him and my daughter.
what?
And it wasn't a picture that was on social media that he could have just saw on his
Yeah,
own. So he did it basically to start shit.
he is, he's a psychopath. That's
I know.
actually
I know.
super, super crazy. So, okay,
Yeah.
um, how long were you guys dating before you felt comfortable introducing him to your children? And what were their reactions? Like, were they standoffish? Like, how did they feel? I mean, I know your daughter was super young, but your son?
Um, my son didn't really care to like talk to him. My son would ask me, my son was still little at the time, but he would say, Mom, what's wrong with the way that he talks? Like something's wrong. And I'll never forget that. Like, I'll never forget that my son said that because I'm like, what does he
Oh
mean?
my goodness. That probably just validated all of the listeners so much because they're like, all of them all the time. They're like, how could you even deal with that?
I didn't notice it that much. And my son, I'm guessing he was probably about 8 or 9 at the
Yeah.
time. And I'm like, how can an 8 or 9 year old notice something like that and I can't?
Wow. That's just so
He's like, what's wrong with him, Mom? Something's
so
wrong.
knowing that I mean, knowing how manipulative and controlling Dick is, I mean, I know you guys are long distance, but now he's kind of like squatting with you, like, and he's starting shit with your
Mhm.
ex. So did he ever like
Right.
say, and this is a question from the chat, but like, did he ever give you like an ultimatum, like, you need to stop talking to your ex, like, I'm gonna be your only man, or like anything like that?
No, he did not. But in a way, I felt like he was guilting me because once I told him, like, you need to go back home, he's like, okay, well, I really want to be with you. I want to make this work. Like, I'm not trying to make things worse. And I guess he knew, like, there was no ultimatum when it came
I
to
mean,
that, you know?
good on you for staying strong. I can almost guarantee that he was scared shitless by your ex, so, like, that's a man, like, "Don't disrespect me or my child," and even, like, my child's
Yeah,
mother, like, do
right.
you and your ex have a good relationship now?
Yes, we do now. It took a very long time,
Yeah.
but yeah, like we can co-parent like best friends. And I'm so thankful. There's so many people that ask me like, how do y'all do that? Like how can y'all have joint birthday parties? How can you go meet his girlfriend halfway on a Friday or go have wine with his
Mhm.
girlfriend? Like, I'm so thankful that we have a relationship like that for, my daughter. I want my daughter to have a life that she doesn't have to heal from, you know?
Yeah, I feel that. So it's so funny because like, all of my best friends are in the chat. Hi, guys.
Mhm.
And one of them one of them just said something that I was
I guess.
thinking. Um Did you find it strange that he wanted to basically, like, claim your children, but he was totally like, where's his?" Did you ask
Right.
him about that?
So I did not know the extent of his daughter until after the fact of that. So I thought in a way like, oh, he really cares about
Mhm.
me. he cares about my kids, but he was probably clinging to my daughter because he didn't have his
Yeah,
daughter.
he had no access.
And I didn't know.
You know what? He actually may. Oh, no. No, no, no. He
Not at
had
the time
just
he
given
didn't.
up.
But I thought he did.
Yeah, he had just relinquished the rights. So if we go in chronological order, so it's baby mama has the baby, then it's Joanna, and then
Mhm.
during Joanna, he signs off his rights, and then he meets you. So actually,
Right.
it's not we're not chronological because Rohana is actually like during and after, so we'll get into that. But so how did that conversation come up about him not having his rights?
I told him that he needs to fight for his daughter. And from my understanding, he was trying to, but he was not. In real life, he wasn't.
Did he ever say things about I would say, like,
He
future
would,
faking, like, "Hey, all of our kids together, like, one big happy family."
yes, yes, he would make me feel like that would be the end game, but he would say like his child's mother was keeping the child away from him. He didn't tell me the actual whole truth of what was going on. He would make me feel like the child's mother was the worst person, the worst enemy.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. Definitely demonizes her from, like, the very beginning.
Right.
Um, so was the end game for him to come and be with you in New Orleans, or was he trying to bring you back to Las Vegas at any point?
It was supposed to be him moving to New
Okay.
Orleans and him going to Las Vegas to still have a relationship with his daughter. He was going to go back and forth.
Okay. That's really wild now if you think about it in the terms of, like, the timeline, it's like
He made it seem like it was
yeah.
easy, like it would have been easy for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so crazy that he literally had just given up the rights, but now he's faking to you that she's either in his life at the beginning, and then afterwards you're like, "No, I'm trying to fight to get her back." Have
Right.
you ever reached out to his daughter's mother?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And at first, she did not want to converse with me until me and Dick had broken up.
Okay. And did you end up talking to her after you guys broke up?
Yes, I
And
did.
what did that consist of?
It was really hard because I wanted him to have a relationship with his
Mhm.
daughter. And I didn't understand the whole truth because I didn't realize that the mother was actually protecting the daughter from him.
Same.
Yeah. So I was thinking in my head that she was the bad guy. In reality, she was not the bad guy. She was just being a mother, any mother that cares about their child.
Yeah, I think that that was and still is, like, a really big, um I don't I guess regret maybe is the wrong word, but, like, I think about it often, because I was only going off of like, we both were only going off of what we knew as the truth, and in terms of, like, finding out the actual truth, normally, you would probably try and get both
Mhm,
sides of the story, but when the person that you're in a relationship with is being like, "She's a prostitute," like, all of the horrible things that he says about
mhm.
her, um, it's like you don't even think that they would even talk to you, you don't even wanna talk to them. You're like, "I'm good listening to you," you know? So, I feel
Right,
bad about that too, but thankfully, thankfully nothing came of the effort, so
right. I went off of what he told me. And then when that was towards the end, that's eventually when she would converse with me.
did he ever call you a bad mom or comment on your parenting in any negative way as part of, like, his, verbal emotional abuse?
No, his verbal abuse would be more so the name calling, and it would be towards "you're a whore."
It's ironic. It's
He would
ironic.
say stuff like
So
that.
ironic given his profession,
Hmm.
um, which kind of is a good segue. Were you like,
Hmm.
"How can you stay here for 3 weeks? Like, don't you have a job?" Like, what did you know about his career?
So, when he came to New Orleans, we were going on a little getaway. We went to Biloxi, Mississippi, and while we were there, he went to the casino next door at the Golden Nugget, and I didn't think anything of it. And he starts gambling, and while he starts gambling, he's winning money.
Mhm.
And he's winning like thousands of dollars, and I'm not thinking anything of it. Like I said, at the time, I had no idea. I thought he got all of this money from like personal training. He had money saved.
Yeah.
And he was just racking up his money while we were in Biloxi. He was gambling.
So, okay, 2 questions on that. First, before going to Biloxi, what was your understanding of his financial situation? Like, did he present himself as
He
being,
was,
like, well off or, like, how? Okay.
yes, yeah, he did. And that's what I thought. Like,
Why did you think that though? Like, what visually or, like, what did he do to make it seem like that was real life?
just the way that he would flaunt things. And he was very showboat. So that's basically why I thought that, he's making money doing all the training and stuff like that.
Is this around the time that he had billboards of himself in Las Vegas and his
No.
clothing company? Or is that different time?
Okay, was it one something,
Yeah.
the clothing
Yeah, just,
company?
like, stupid,
Okay.
stupid, stupid shirts, but yeah.
Yes. So I guess so in a way it was around that time,
Okay.
but I knew that it wasn't really going that great with it because I remember him sending like messages to people on Facebook about like liking the page and stuff like that, the one company. And I didn't even know anything about it until like somebody had told me.
That's so wild. Okay, so I know both of these stories. So the to go back to the number 1 clothing, right? Um,
Mhm.
even when he was with Joanna, it was like his
Mhm.
job, like, basically, like, what he woke up and did every morning aside from all of the gay sex work, was send out as many messages on Facebook as possible to people because Facebook didn't have, like, a limit. You could send out thousands of messages to people, and, I think
Mhm.
I said this in the last episode, but he basically would be like, "If you send out 1,000 messages, the statistics are," like, all savant, and he's like, "You'll at least get 10 people to
Mhm.
buy a $100 package, and then boom, you made $1,000 that day." And that was his job. If he did that, then he was successful. So, I totally like, that's crazy because it lives on, because as you can see, right, it was with Joanna, and it's with you.
Mhm.
It fucking worked all of its way all the way to 2021, 22. So and then the Biloxi trip, when we were in Alabama, and it was that episode where I told you that my girlfriend got stuck in the mud and he was like, like a little
I already
bitch."
know what you're gonna
He
say.
was like, I've never been down to Gulf Shores, but I love Alabama so much." And he was like, "Yeah, maybe we should go, but I really love Biloxi." And I was like, "What? You've
And
been there?"
the area there and like the beach is terrible. It's nothing but
Oh,
casinos.
he told me it was so beautiful. But it's because the
If
golden
you like
nugget's
septic
there.
tanks.
Like, that's just so crazy. Okay. So do you have any idea, how much money he won? And what was he playing to?
um, so I'm not a gambler, so I'm not
Mhm.
sure. But he was on the machines,
Okay.
if that matters. But I know he won close to like $3,000.
30 or 3?
Three
Okay,
thousand.
3,000. Oh, small fish those days, Dick.
Mhm. Right.
Okay. That's your first experience with him gambling then? Yes?
Hmm. I didn't think anything of it. I'm just like, okay, he's lucky.
Okay, yeah. And what did you think later?
Well, I didn't know much about it later until probably my second or third trip in Vegas when he was gambling at the gas station. I think it might have been the 7-Eleven. And I was like, what are you doing at the gas station? And he was gambling at the gas
While
station.
you were in to visit him?
Mhm.
Oh my god, sometimes I get so embarrassed that I was married to such a fucking degenerate, it's really crazy.
I didn't know what a 7-Eleven was until him.
The fact that there's I just can't. What do you mean? So he
I
would just
know.
leave you at his apartment. Okay.
Yes.
Love that this is bringing to light that if they're telling you they see their kids or their kid's mother is the issue, that in fact it's your cue to run. Yeah, that's actually very true. I think that a
Yeah.
good man, and I mean you can attest to this with your ex, like a good man wants somebody to respect his baby mama,
Right.
right?
Right.
I don't think that
Mm,
that's far fetched, but I think that it's not the norm. So,
I
yeah,
agree.
that's I think that anybody who, when you first start dating them, they start talking shit about people that you have never even met and have no idea like how they fit into the puzzle, that's a red flag. How I
Yeah.
but I think that, like, we take it in some way as, like, them being open and honest and vulnerable. So, like, "Oh, he's sharing, he's being
Hmm.
emotional, he's telling me, like, this deep stuff." And then
Well, that's what I thought at the
right,
time.
but if n like, now you look back, you're like, it all made him the victim. So,
Right.
was there ever a time where he was like, "Yeah, I fucked up there?" It's like, I'd never heard that,
Mm.
ever.
No,
Yeah.
no. Even when I found out the truth, he made me feel like he was basically conned into signing his rights
Yeah.
over.
I think the story that he told me was that, his baby mama, was aware.
He made me feel like he had no choice
Right.
because this was when he got out of jail.
Yeah.
And he had no choice basically but to sign his rights over. When in all actuality, he signed his rights over beforehand.
Yeah, and what he
He didn't want to pay
what he
child
had
support.
said was that she knew about past, like, criminal stuff that he did, um, like selling drugs and Molly and coke and all of that stuff, and that she was
Right.
like, "If you don't sign the rights over, I'm gonna tell on you." And he
Right.
had told
That's
me,
what he told
again,
me
with the
too.
timeline, I didn't know what the real timeline was, but he was like, "I was on parole, so I had to," and it's like, you did it before you even attempted to strangle Joanna, so
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
isn't okay, here's a good
He came up with it. He fabricated his own story after the
he
fact.
lives in a fabricated world.
Denial.
Um, After hearing Joanna's story about her experience with Dick and his daughter when he
Hmm.
did have her around, how did you feel about that?
Ah, man. After, hearing what she went through, that I honestly could feel everything that she was going through. Nobody should ever have to go through that. I honestly, I don't even know. Like, that makes me want to even just almost cry because no woman should ever have to go through that,
Mhm.
to where they feel like, the person they love is now, you know, trying to take them out of this world or strangle them, putting their hands on
Yeah,
them.
I
I felt like I could feel her pain too, as well.
she's so strong and, I she said that she repressed it for a really long time and then it all came back, I think, when she was watching a movie and
It's like relapsing
yeah,
almost. And I can only imagine, and I've been through some terrible situations, but not that bad, as what she went through.
Yeah. Um, how did you feel about what Joanna relayed regarding how Dick treated his daughter during that time? Do you remember what she had said?
He treated her as if she didn't matter,
Yeah, leaving her in her car seat, not changing her diapers, like, all of that stuff.
like
Yeah,
neglecting
totally,
her.
100%.
That's horrible. And I feel like, any parent would take that, as it's painful to even listen to
Right.
that. Like this child that looks exactly like you, your little person, your little human. I can't even imagine,
I When I found out about all of that stuff, I think that out of everything in the whole entire story about Dick, that truthfully is the most shocking
Painful.
and painful to me because
It
I think
is.
about people who yeah, I mean, I
Have kids.
who
Have
have kids, and
kids.
it's just like, "Mm, how could you put her on Facebook and be like, I'm the best dad, I'm the best dad," and then
And that's what he did. And he portrayed himself as, this great
yeah.
father. And he's not.
Well, good on you for having the intuition or whatever it was that made you say, "No, I'm not gonna let you watch my kids." And,
Right.
I believe that females have intuition, and we know. I think mine was broken for a little while, but, like, you knew, and, like, good on you that you protected your children from that,
Mhm.
because you had no idea that
I'm thankful I didn't go any deeper in because
yeah,
with the way he portrayed himself, I was thinking he was the best thing ever.
yeah.
Like where has this guy been my whole life?
Yeah, I can 1000% relate to that. So, okay, where are we at in the timeline? So, Biloxi, is there anything that super sticks out like after your trip? Like, did he just go back home after that or he came to stay with you?
But after
Oh, that was
Biloxi,
the
we
3
did go
weeks.
back. Was the stuff with Riley's
Okay,
dad.
okay.
And that's when I told him, like, I can't
Mhm.
anymore. And he went back home. And of course, he was trying to guilt me and stuff once he was back home, like making me feel like he really wanted the best for me. And it still carried on after that.
Okay, so you essentially ended things because you were like, "This is too much with Riley's dad." Okay. Well, that's a really
Yes.
good boundary and good for you for having those even back then. Um,
Hmm.
so when he went back to Las Vegas, w you said that he wanted the best for you, but was that the best for you, like, absent of him, or was he still trying to be with you?
I think he wanted the best for me as if he wanted me to still have me underneath. Like he did not want me to move on from
What
him.
would he say that would allude to that?
I'm not going to get any better than him. And just somebody that's going to accept me and, my two kids.
Mm, my gosh. Except you.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wild. So,
Yeah.
I guess, like, the elephant in the room really is when did you find out the truth about what he did and does for a living?
After that last trip that he had in New Orleans. Once he went back to Vegas, that mutual friend that we had, knew all the stuff that I was going
Mhm.
through and decided to kind of let me in and showed me a picture that was very inappropriate. And I had no idea. And I guess everything started to shed light.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh, it kind of makes
And I'm like, why
sense."
didn't you tell me before? And it's like they're protecting them, but why weren't you protecting me and my kids? And that's kind of where it went from there.
When you so when you got sent the picture, I can only imagine what picture it was. Um, did you do any additional research and find other stuff on your own?
No,
No?
yes,
Okay.
yes, I did. Because I had found out along with that that he had created a GoFundMe to make money. And it was saying that someone was in a car accident or something like that. And I did like my
Uh-huh.
research and I found out that he was collecting money off of something that didn't even happen.
He made it go
Yeah, that
fund
was about
me?
the extent.
Ooh, this is
Yes.
new information. Do you see my face being like,
Yeah. About an accident. Yeah.
"No way."
Hmm.
Okay, that's good information. I'm putting it in the file cabinet.
Yeah.
Um, what a fucking psychopath.
I know.
So, did you confront him about him being a sex worker for men?
I did not.
Not ever.
No.
What was your thinking in that?
I didn't want to believe that it was real.
Yeah. So did
Hmm.
you continue to talk with him thinking that it wasn't real and that maybe you guys could still work out after you found that out?
Um, it was talking here and
Mhm.
there, but it wasn't as consistent because he, all these women on social media and stuff that I would see him talking to, and I would think that he's just training
Mhm.
them. Um, it was all becoming like too much. So it wasn't really, it was over and done with at that point. I didn't feel the need to go in any deeper when it came to all that.
Good for you. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, because I think that it's in our nature to
There was no, like, he couldn't justify it,
yeah.
like the things that I seen. Like, he couldn't wiggle his way around it. It was kind of just like, this is the law and this is what it is. And he can't really lie.
Yeah, and even back
I
then
think I just saw something. Would he post
Mhm.
me? Did somebody just say
What?
that? Yes. Did he post me? That's the one thing that I saw. Yeah, he did post me, and then he would delete me all the time. Hi. Hi. Does it say Marissa?
Sorry, I'm ignoring the comments. I can't even see them, like, they're not, like, going down.
Yes. Hi, Marissa.
So he did post you, but because Rohana was saying that when she had met him initially, that she saw, like, that he was posting
He had
you.
a
Yeah.
girlfriend. He had a girlfriend. And I was the girlfriend that Rohana was picking out the flowers, and he was, I guess love bombing her at the time, saying I do all these things and stuff for my girlfriend. I was the girlfriend. And I thought Rohana was just, a girl that he was doing online training
Yeah.
with, when all actuality, she was the girl that was coming in next from Washington.
Right, yeah. She she moved
And
there.
I didn't think anything of it because at the time she had a boyfriend.
Right, okay. Yeah, that is a that's just I mean, it's I actually I'm super proud of you for, like, not needing to know anymore. When we did our
Right.
pre-call and obviously we've been talking for a little while, you were
Hmm.
sharing some stuff with me about, like, him sharing location and, saying he was one place and then he would be at another place. Was that something that I don't did you watch his location a lot, I guess, to point blank, like, to see if he was lying?
No, because I guess it was so much different then than it is
Mhm.
now. And because he lived out of state. So I would feel like if I would see that he's anywhere like on the strip or at the casino, that's like normal.
Yeah. He uses it as a control tactic, though. It's like, "Hey, I'm gonna give
Right.
this to you because I trust you and I want you to trust me." But then if he wants to just stir the
Well,
pot.
that he would do that. He would do that, but it became wore out at a point because the whole sharing the location and blocking and stuff, it became
Yeah,
old.
that's
Hmm.
really, really wild. What is the question, Marissa? You said, "Have you ever spoken to her?"
With
Who?
who?
I don't know. And that's what it says. Have you ever spoken to her? I don't
Who's
know.
her?
Oh, probably Rohana.
We would argue.
Back like
We would butt heads, but I mean, it's way different now. But at the time, I would think of her as the bad guy because I would think, this is the girl that's trying to take my boyfriend away from me and this, that, and the other. And I would actually saw like messages not that long ago and I was trying to brush up on the situation and I was telling her, like, like, who do you think you are? You're in a relationship laying next to your boyfriend, but you're texting my boyfriend
right.
at the time. So I would basically see her as the bad guy.
I mean, that's what he does though. He turns all of us against each other. I don't
Mhm.
think that during my relationship with him that I don't really think that he said anything bad about you. He definitely didn't say anything bad about Rahana. It was really just like everybody else. And, kind of what I gather from that is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there, aside from like the emotional and the verbal abuse,
Mhm.
there hasn't been any real like big blowout things like being strangled or being
Yeah.
abandoned or stealing money or anything that he would need to cover up with this whole like demonizing kind of methodology.
No, but in a way, I feel like I wasn't really exposed to that because we did not technically live
Yeah.
together.
You mentioned also a time that I think you said you and your cousin had went to see him, and that what did other people think of him? I mean, aside from your son being like he talks funny.
He was full of himself. What am I doing? What am I doing with this guy? I'll never forget. We went to a Saints
Mhm.
game, and after the Saints game, we were at a place eating, and there was a bunch of people that I knew, like in the area, and he decided he was gonna take his shirt off and sit at the table that we were eating at without a shirt on, just basically to strike
In a
attention.
restaurant.
Yeah.
That's he's fucking so weird and crazy.
Like basically,
Are
look at
you a
me.
person that is like, "Hey, look at me. I do you like attention?" Or are you kinda does that make you
I
feel?
wanted to crawl under the table and I was just highly embarrassed. And I'm like, put your
Oh
shirt on.
my
He's like,
goodness.
no. I wanted to leave him at the table. Just like, you cannot be doing this right
Did he
now.
tell you that he was a, IFBB pro? No?
No. Mm.
Interesting. I wonder where in the timeline that comes in. Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else that you can think of that is really, like, big?
Mm.
I mean, you guys were together for 6 months. He met your
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, you guys took some trips. He was there. He squatted for a little bit, and then he left after you told him to leave and that it wasn't a good thing. Did he ever, like, try to come back? Did he come back? Um,
He did
mhm,
try, but I just wasn't allowing it.
mhm.
He would try to text me and stuff and email, but
And how did your kids feel about him not being in the picture anymore? They're like, "Bye.
yeah, pretty
Bye, weird
much.
talker."
He wasn't missed.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
Um, Do we have any other questions? Did he talk crap about her? Oh, so when Dick was around Rohana, I don't know how he presented that to you. Was that someone he was training, or like how did he act? He
Yeah, she was a
Okay,
client. He was he was doing meal plans for her and workout
that's so
plans.
crazy. He's never done one of those a day in his goddamn life. Um,
Yeah.
did he like demonize her? Did he make her like did he do anything to deter you from like reaching out to her? Just was
No.
like that's a client, like you have no need to worry.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much. And she has a boyfriend. You do
Okay. Did he tell you that she had a boyfriend, or did you know that from research, or both?
both.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, gotcha. Was there ever a time, sorry, I'm just like rapid firing questions at you. Like you can pause me if it's too much.
It's okay.
Um, did you ever pay for anything for him?
Everything,
What tell me about
even
that.
groceries.
Like in because that's very important in the story because that's really why he does essentially all of this.
Yeah. So that was kind of exhausting to me when he came to my hometown, and I felt like I was paying for everything. And I literally was working, and at the time, in a way, I was living, paycheck to
Mhm.
paycheck. And here he is, staying at my house for free and we're going out to eat, we're doing all these things. And here I am, working my ass off, being a single mom, and I'm paying for me, myself, my kids, and him.
Was it on the pretense of like, "Hey, get this for me, I'll pay you back?" Or
No,
he just expected that?
he expected it.
Did he ever like aside from flowers, did he ever buy you gifts or do like what was a love bomb from
No,
Dick? Like what did that look like? Words?
words,
Okay.
words, and I guess spirit flights.
Oh my god. Okay, so he would spirit fly you to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
How romantic. That's that's
yeah,
wild.
really. Hmm.
Well, I'm happy that you didn't have to endure any physical abuse. I'm happy that you had the intuition to know, like, I'm not going to allow this person to be around my children. I'm happy your child knew, like,
Right.
there's something fucking weird with this guy. Um,
I'm glad they don't
the,
remember
I
anything
think
of
that
him.
I mean, that's the best possible scenario, you know? Like, I
Right.
think that we all go through. I mean, here's the thing, and you said it, like, you literally said exactly what I would have said right now is like, you were in a very vulnerable situation. And I think
Right.
as women, when we're thinking about like getting back out there after something, there's
Hmm.
like two options. Either we can pretend like everything's okay, but like we
Hmm.
know that we're not going to be able to like maintain that because we're too emotional.
I'm laughing because Rocky's paw is
He's
under
like,
my
oh,
door right now.
oh,
He's like, "Hi,
um,
I'm here
and then the other
still."
option is we're just going to be open and tell you everything that we have going on in our life right now and hope that you accept it. And we don't ever think that if we're that open and honest, that someone's going to literally use it against us. You
Right.
know? And I think
Mhm.
that a lot of people, a lot of listeners have reached out and said, like, I never realized how predatorial men are towards women in vulnerable situations. And also
Yeah.
how vulnerable situations can look like so many things. Something that might
Yeah.
make you
You're right.
vulnerable might be like a win for me in some respect. You know what I'm saying? But it's just about
Right.
he really kinda,
Right.
like, digs into, like, the psyche and is like, "How do I control her because I know this information?"
Well, he's done it so many times. He's a professional at it at this
Yeah,
point.
it's very, very true. Very, very true.
Yeah.
Um, well, damn. How much money in total would you say that you spent on him?
Okay, so we're going back a couple thousand at least.
Okay.
Mhm.
Lucky. You're lucky. And you know what?
Can
Fuck
imagine.
him, seriously, for taking money out of your pocket that should have,
I can only be reimbursed for all the money I've spent.
like, it should have gone to your children. Like, yeah,
Right,
I don't know. Um, oh,
right.
this is actually a good question. Was there anything about you that you shared with him initially, like hobbies or um, things you like to do that he was like, "Oh my gosh, me too. I love that."
Man. No, because at the time I was into the whole working
Mhm.
out and just focusing on the way I look. And obviously, that was something he really, really liked. So that was my hobby at the time. So that was the main thing that we had in common.
Okay, yeah, the working out, and I mean it's the same with Rohana too. Um, when you
It was convenient.
Yeah, did you guys work out together when he would come into town?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did he prompt that, or was that something you're like, "Let's go work out together"? You?
Me.
Okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
from my understanding, and I mean my experience too, is that he doesn't like to work out with other people. He uses like the gym time as the time for him to like do all of his secret shit. So, yeah.
Well, I felt like if I wouldn't have initiated us going to work out together, we wouldn't have.
Yeah, no. He actually told me when we first started seeing each other, he was like, "I'm going to get you into the best shape that you've ever been in your life." And I was like, "I don't is that a like what the fuck is that?" Because it's like you just
Right.
told me that I was so beautiful. Like I knew that I could lose weight, but and I was already self-conscious about it. And then he like doubles down with that, but almost puts it in a way where it's like he loves me cuz he's going to do it. I'm like I'm
Right.
like this like project, and I don't truthfully it
Right.
felt good to be somebody's project instead of the other way around. So, um
Right.
yeah, but then as it turns out, all of the nutrition plans and the workout plans that he said that he would send to other people, all of those it's the same one. It's not custom. He sent the same one to me. It was in his notes, and I later found out that it was one that an actual personal trainer in Scottsdale who I know, he sold it to Dick. Dick bought it for $99 or something, and Dick took this guy's name off of it, and then he resells it.
And
Yeah,
copy and
it
pasted it.
literally is plagiarism. So,
Right.
yeah. Um, did Dick make you eat healthy food while he ate like shit?
He made me eat healthy food if I bought it and meal prepped
Did
it.
you cook for him?
Yes.
Wow, what a real southern woman. But so he was not I think who was it? Oh, Joanna was saying that he would eat like fast food all the time, but say he was like really sticking to the plan. Was he like regimented with his nutrition when he was in your life? No.
No, not
Burgers
at
and
all.
fries?
Hmm.
This dude's wild. Was he taking steroids openly?
I mean, I wouldn't say openly, but yeah.
You knew.
Yeah.
Was he losing hair back then?
Man, I feel like I don't know which tree I was hiding under because I couldn't tell if he if he was losing
Well,
hair.
I he probably just traumatized you into like blinders, you know. This is what
Mm,
happened.
Pretty probably. I feel like all the men I've dated are bald, so I wouldn't be able to tell if someone's
So you're
losing
actually like,
hair.
"Oh, Dick, you
That's
have a
that.
lot of hair. This is very thick and
That's what I
nice." Oh
thought.
my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Right.
Well, he's losing his hair now, and his face looks like he's on prednisone. So maybe he's taking the wrong kind of steroids. But this is not a shit talking podcast. This is factual. So, um, Okay, one more question. Did you experience the roid rage?
No.
No, just regular pure rage, just
Yeah.
manipulative bullshit. Well,
Right.
girlfriend, I know you have to be up for work in the morning, so I don't want to keep you, but I do love your dog, and
I love you.
thank you for doing this. I know that you said you were nervous before, and you're like, I'm doing this for you, and like I appreciate that so much, and I know that everybody else listening to, like, even
Yeah.
if it's not the most traumatic story, it just adds to like the entire narrative that like it is intentional, it's predatorial, and people need to like watch out and know the signs. And so I think that, you know, you should feel good about helping women, men, whoever the fuck is listening, like be able to get themselves out of something that they don't want to be in.
Right.
And from your perspective, being a mother, right? The importance of you made the right choice. what what does it look like for somebody who makes the wrong one, and how do we differentiate between the right and the wrong? So
Right. I'm thankful that, that I worked so many night shifts and I watched your podcasts on my night
yeah.
shifts, because if I wouldn't have and paid attention to everything, I wouldn't be here, talking about everything. And I literally felt everything you were going through.
Well, thank you for supporting me in that way, and I appreciate it, and I'm glad now that I have a beautiful girlfriend down in Louisiana, because I'm not gonna lie,
Say, come
I want
see
to go down there and
us.
do like New Orleans for real, because the last time I was there was not a good time. Wow, you guys, this episode was an absolute blast. We recorded with a live audience for the first time, and it was amazing. Keep an eye out on our socials for invite links to the next live recording. Spots are limited, so you'll want to grab one quickly. Okay, back to the tea. Y'all, when Kylie told me that Dick had made a fake GoFundMe, my jaw dropped, literally. I wish you could see my reaction. Oh, wait, you can. You could see my reactions to all of the crazy things that I learned on YouTube. So seriously, run, don't walk to check it out, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. This episode was as fun as it was emotional, showcasing once again the kind of women Dick targets: beautiful, strong, family-centered, and giving. He is a one-of-a-kind predator. Thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to check out the bio for Kylie's social media links. Give her a follow and let her know your favorite part of the episode. Ask her some questions. She also might be popping in occasionally in future episodes, so that's real exciting. Now, I bet you're all wondering who's up next. Huh? Well, you'll have to wait and see. This next ex has a lot to share. She was one of the original 3 I reached out to when everything went down. She graciously let me into her world while helping me make sense of my own, or what was left of it anyways. Want more hints? I bet you do. Keep an eye out on my socials, and if you think you know who's next, shoot me a message, and if you're right, you'll earn a guaranteed spot in the live recording of her episode. I'm your host, Amanda Arnier, and this is the Dichotomy Diaries. Until then.
Till you taste regret, it's not over yet.